Chronicles, Gospels, prophets, sages, Leviticus, laws to Paul's fine phrases, turning them corners, your spiritual mazes. Genesis to Revelation, so divine. Flip them scripts, endless grace you'll find. Psalms singing sweet, unbroken lines, hitting that rhythm, wordplay refined. Anybody in here blessed? Anybody in here blessed? Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? Wake up early, the dawn's light shimmers. Spiritual breakfast, soul food dinners. Isaiah's vision, Ezekiel's figures. Walk through the fire, no one limbers. Kings and judges, prophets profound, plowing the word, no mythical ground. Verse after verse, wisdom's bound. Heavenly soundtrack, soul serving sound. Anybody in here blessed? Anybody in here blessed? Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? No shortcuts, all divine routes. Listen to the whispers, no room for doubt. Parables drop stronger than gold faucets. Souls hydrated from divine prophets. Study the book, change perspectives. Carefully crafted, not too subjective. A year to reflect, learning perfect. Patterns of grace that time can't deflect. Old Testament drops deep and so real. Kings and warriors, covenant seals. Split that Red Sea, divine reveal. Commandments written, not made of steel. Bethlehem birth to cross on the hill. Unfolding the natural blessings, pastor with skill. Scripture flip, every verse fulfilled.
Through the word, every verse, every chapter, nothing unheard. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Yo, online sermons, holy vibes delivered, spreading light, got the sinners reconsidered. Psalm to psalm, man's like a holy DJ, flipping through scripture, repping the Yahweh. Your emotes in the chat, praising the message, flat cap on point, teaching eternal lessons. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick, raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick. Virtual congregation, united in devotion. 1 year strong, a spiritual promotion. He's a life coach with divine instructions. Streaming holiness, no room for interruption. Flat cap changed the game, new pastoral fame. Virtual shepherd, he's embraced in the mainframe. In the comments, affirmatives and amens. With each Goliath tackled, faith extends. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Yo, online sermons, holy vibes delivered, spreading light, got the sinners reconsidered. Psalm to psalm, man's like a holy DJ, flipping through scripture, repping the Yahweh. Your emotes in the chat, praising the message, flat cap on point, teaching eternal lessons. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick, raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick. Virtual congregation, united in devotion. 1 year strong, a spiritual promotion. He's a life coach with divine instructions. Streaming holiness, no room for interruption. Flat cap changed the game, new pastoral fame. Virtual shepherd, he's embracing the mainframe. In the comments, affirmatives and amens. With each Goliath tackled, faith extends. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. 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 Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Getting everything rolling here. Galaxy, thank you for the lurk, my friend. Thank you. All right. Ba-ba-bum. Oh, and everything's back today. So it's working. Yesterday, not so much. Today we're good. So I've got the snow flurries, and we've got the Christmas lights. And yes, they stay up until January 6th because that is when the 12 days of Christmas end. I will not put them up before Thanksgiving, unlike other people who think October 1st is the time to put up your Christmas decorations for some unknown reason. And I've got neighbors who put up their Halloween decorations on September 1st. I'm like, people, okay, settle down, wait until the proper time, and then you can continue to enjoy them afterwards. And not, oh, it's the day after, we must take them down. Well, if you didn't put them up 2 months ahead of time, you wouldn't need to take them down the day after. Because, 12 days of Christmas start on Christmas Day. Go till January 6th. We're on what? I don't know, day 8? I can't keep track. I don't know what it is. All right, it says that I am, it might be wrong. Let me double check. I did change the title. Yeah, the title is there. Did I spell it right? I can never remember how to spell Esther. Okay, looks like we're good. But we were mentioning or thinking about, what was it? Some of my redeems or whatever. Come on, open up. To make sure what's on for the new year and what doesn't need to be on. Okay, what is it? What is it under? Is it under community? No, it's not under analytics. Viewer rewards. There we go. Nope, not what I want. It'd be redeems, right? Power-ups, channel points. Manage, there we go. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. There's the generic ones. More generic ones. Here's the one. Prayer time, tip cap. Favorite Bible verse. Baby koi cam. That one's off. Okay, blessing. That one is off. Chat. What does that one mean? What does that one even do? It's an auto created one. I don't know what it does. Learn a command. I'm surprised nobody's done that one. Somebody created Stump FCDP. Guide the raid. No cap. We can edit that one. It's not being overused. I'll reduce the price on that. Collab stream. I'm going to turn that one back on. Sticker. Oh, man. Yeah, that's quite a bit. Okay. There was something else I was thinking, but I guess I'm incorrect, or I just don't remember what it was. Okay. Johnny Darko, good morning and Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too, my friend. Hope you had a good holiday season, whatever you may have been able to do. Oh, and it's working today. Good. Although I do feel like, let me adjust that. Let me adjust my snow here a minute. I'm going to take that snow down. That's way snowier than I need. Position and style. Nope. Settings. Snowflake size. Let's take that down. And let's take the speed down. And save. Oh, that's a little too small. You can barely tell it's snow. There we go. Well, it still doesn't. I don't know if I can tell that's snow or not. We'll go a tiny bit faster. See what that does. There we go. Adjusting those things. Okay. Oh, and it suddenly popped on while I was. That's interesting. I've not had that before. Okay. Nehemiah is not what we're in. We finished that yesterday. We are in Esther. where we will be today is the book of Esther. If you do not know, oh, what happened there? Why is it not showing it? What happened to that? There we go. I don't know why it was suddenly squeezed up there. All right, if you do not know, the book of Esther does not have God in it. And what I mean by that is the name of God is not mentioned. A reference to God is not mentioned. It's one of the reasons why Esther had been debated whether it should or should not be in the Bible, because it doesn't mention the name of God. It doesn't mention God at all. But you can't read the book of Esther without seeing the hand and the presence of God. You can't. It's so clear, it's so obvious all the way throughout the book. So, it's also one of my favorites. So, sorry, I'm just playing with my other computer here a second. It's one of my favorites. So, like, how would you, like, could you imagine not having the book of Esther? That's one of the things that I think about. So, I don't remember the dating of Esther. I think it gives us possible dates here from 486 to 465. Hey, Mom Bass Lady, welcome in. Good to see you this morning. This is one of those things where I wish I had a little bit better genealogy, or not record of what kings are, what happens in what order during exile. Like, is this happening during the time of Ezra? Is this after the time of Ezra? Is this during Daniel? Like, where's the overlap of, and now it says it's who the king is. So, I think this puts it's not going to be in Daniel, because Daniel is Cyrus and Darius, and here we have Xerxes and Artaxerxes. So, it's potentially after those. So, okay. Well, what I'm not sure is Ezra and Nehemiah, when they're actually happening. So, I think historically we would read these in order of Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther would be chronologically the correct order. And I've done chronological Bibles before, but often they don't jump back and forth between one book and another that are happening simultaneously. They go one book then the other, so that even if there is overlap, for instance, if you have Kings and Chronicles, there's overlap. You're not often reading the story in the King and then the story in Chronicles and then the prophet at the same time, which is how I would want to do it, but I haven't found one that does a great job of that. No chronological Bible reading plan might, but... And then anyway, let's get into Esther. Okay. Balaam, hey, only 5 books are not quoted of the Old Testament are quoted in the New Testament, right? You might be right. I don't know what that number is. And then it depends on how you would define being quoted. Because there's, like, you can allude to a book without direct quoting a book. Like, for instance, I could say a long time ago and not say in a galaxy far, far away, and I could be quoting from Star Wars. But if I say in a galaxy far, far away, you know I'm quoting from Star Wars. But maybe saying a galaxy far away doesn't fit the context, so I might just say, well, a long, long time ago, in a far-off country, I could be quoting, but paraphrasing the same thing. So that's why I said it depends on how you see things and how you count them. Yeah, and then Revelation quotes a lot of stuff. So we also have books that are quoted that are not in the Bible too. All right. The following events take place between... Oh, sorry. The following events happen. See how that just led me to? The following events happen between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. on the night of... It's a TV show. If you don't know that, it's an old one. Okay, the following events happened in the days of Ahasuerus. I am referring to that Ahasuerus, who used to rule over 127 provinces, extending all the way from India to Ethiopia. In those days, as king, Ahasuerus sat on his royal throne in Susa, the citadel. In the 3rd year of his reign, he provided a banquet for all his officials and his servants. The army of Persia and Media was present, as well as the nobles and the officials of the provinces. Balaam, I'm going to trust that all the books of the Old Testament are from God. What faith is all about. Anyways, all right. Oh, yeah. Even though, of what Jesus says in Luke 24:25, and he said to them, "O foolish ones, who are slow of heart to believe in all that the prophets have spoken." Yeah. Well, and I wasn't saying that, it's not in here. God's not mentioned because it shouldn't be in the Bible. I'm saying they debated it because they're like, can we have a book? Can we have a book that doesn't mention God, doesn't mention the name of God, can we include that? And the answer is yes. Yes. One of the other things that we kind of falsely have this idea is that there was an official decree sent out that said, here's the books that shall be included in the Bible, and it is a progression of things that happen as to why do we include them? Do we start? It's not really like, are we putting them in the Bible? It's more of, do we see them as authoritative and as coming from God? So you start using them because you find them authoritative and coming from God. And then you collect those books. And then some people see some as more authority. Hey, Lucis. And some as less authority. Some as definitely should be included. And others like maybe they shouldn't be included. So that's where you get some other books that are included in the Old Testament and a few others in the New Testament in the Catholic Bible. There's a section of deuterocanonical books that are between. So like 1st and 2nd Maccabees is a story of what happens after exile, and they include those. But others say no, they don't. They're not the same caliber as the other books, so they're not scripture, but they're good to read. So then some don't put them in the Bible, some put them in the Bible, and then I think, if I remember right, one of the reasons when we get to the Reformation that the Protestant Bible doesn't have them is the original language they were written in. So we can come up with different reasons of why they're used or not used. An Ethiopian Bible, I think, has 88 potential books. Can't remember if it's 83 or 88 books in the Bible. So they have all the possible ones that could be out there. So, all right. So we've got the king is throwing a party. He displayed the riches of his royal glory and the splendor of his majestic greatness for a lengthy period of time, 180 days to be exact. Yeah, for many days. The words to be exact are not in the Hebrew text, but are supplied in the translation to bring out the clarification, nuance, the time period mentioned. Even 180 days. Could you imagine being so rich that you could throw a party for 180 days, showing off all you got? Showing off all you got for 180 days. Like, okay, I'm like, we had Christmas, and then, Christmas again, and then New Year's, but didn't do anything, and then New Year's Day off, and I'm going, man, I need something to do. I'm like, not got nothing to do, and I got no money to go spend to go do anything, and nothing's open. So, but yeah, 180 days. That's a long time. That's half a year. Half a year throwing a party. I just can't imagine. Like, you imagine the cooks like making meals 3 days? Yeah, what's money exactly? When those days were completed, the king then provided a 7-day banquet for all the people who were present in Susa, the citadel, for those of highest standing to the most lowly. Okay, so after the 180 days, he throws a 7-day banquet. So you party for 180 days, and now you're going to have a 7-day party at the end of the 180-day party. Like, what is going on? Joel, good morning, sir. How are you, and how's your new year? I am doing well, friend. I'm doing well. Hope you are as well. We got just a tiny dusting of snow yesterday, just enough to make everything white again and no more. So, and it's also from those of highest standing to the most lowly. So, like, if you're in Susa, you get to come to the king's party. That's a fascinating thing here. He is showing off. Now, maybe it is the highest standing to the most lowly didn't mean the peasants outside of the citadel. Maybe you had to be able to be inside the court, but even the lowest in the court got to come. It was held in the court located in the garden of the royal palace. You felt the best way to start 2025 was to fall down the steps and bruise your ribs. No! Oh, dude, no. Bruised ribs. Bruised ribs are not cool. I had those one time, and do not sneeze, do not cough, my friend. Oh, pain, pain, pain. Mine was, I was wrestling the heavyweight, and he landed on me. And the thing is there was nothing out of place, so I may have actually broken a rib, but I knew enough to know you can't do anything for broken ribs other than set them in place if they're out of place. So, yeah, they were either bruised or broken. Pain is just as bad, and that was not fun. Balaam, I know of the Septuagint is the Greek copy of the Old Testament. So, yeah, I know the Septuagint. It's just the Greek version, often I refer to as the LXX, which that's where you get the name Sep from 7, Septuagint 70, because took 70 days to write it, and 70 writers to write it in 70 days to translate it. Nice story. Mom, boss lady, ever bruise your ribs just by coughing all the time? No, that I haven't done, but yeah, painful that way. Yeah, this is quite painful. I can barely walk and get out of your chair. Yeah. You do have a question on the Sabbath? Go ahead. The furnishings included white linen and blue curtains hung by cords of the finest linen and purple wool on silver rings, alabaster commons, gold and silver couches displayed on a floor made of valuable stone of alabaster, mother of pearl, and mineral stones. Might be marble. Drinks were served in golden containers, all of which differed from one another. Royal wine was available in abundance at the king's expense. There were no restrictions on the drinking, for the king had instructed all his supervisors that they should do as everyone so desires. Queen Vashti also gave a banquet for the women in King Ahasuerus' royal palace. Okay. What does Vashti mean? Oh.
Strong's H 3220.
Wrong one. Sorry. Yeah, Mom Boss Lady, you can type whatever your question is. Vashti. Let me see if it does have a translation for Ahasuerus. Didn't look that up earlier when we got his name.
Strong's H 325.
Ashvarosh.
Achashverosh.
I will be silent and poor. I will be silent and poor. That is quite the name. I will be silent and poor.
Strong's H 2060.
Oh, that's right.
Vashti.
Vashti means beautiful. So the king is I will be silent and poor, and the queen is beautiful. No foreshadowing there. Okay. I've been told that during this Sabbath, you're not supposed to do anything. Couldn't buy food or anything, even if you don't have food at home, and you don't get money until get the money until during the Sabbath. Question is, are you supposed to go hungry during the Sabbath or what? Well, the Sabbath is practiced with the people who are Israelites who are in the land. Okay? So all of those restrictions were to have them set apart and different. The other thing was, in that time frame, you got paid at the end of the day. Okay? So your pay came at the end of the day, and you were supposed to prepare your food the day before. Okay? So just because that's the way it was set up in the Old Testament for the people of Israel who are living in the land doesn't mean that that is what we are to do. In fact, Jesus is constantly challenged on the things he does on the Sabbath day. His disciples are walking in a grain field, and they harvest a little bit of the grain, crush it in their hands, and eat it, and they're accused of working because they picked enough to eat, and they got the shuck off of the grain, and they ate it. They're accused of working. He also does things and is accused of working on the Sabbath when he blesses and heals people. So, the Sabbath, at least as the way I read it through what Jesus is saying, is about the desire to rely on God for what you have and not trusting in your own self. So it is about that. So the other thing is a lot of people today are low on the totem pole, so to speak. They have little seniority. They have to work on Sundays. What are those people supposed to do? Lose their job? So I'm not one of those like strict Sabbath, like you can't do anything. I grew up with that. I just don't see that as a thing that we need to do. Yes, we need to set aside time and realize that God can provide for us and that we can trust in God. So that's not how I approach it. I approach it as the attitude we have. So yeah, you get paid on Sabbath, and then we debate if Sabbath is Saturday or Sunday also. You get paid on that day, and you need to eat. You need to eat, so eat. I don't see any issue with that. And you'll have some that will. But they also probably aren't making all of their food the day before like was commanded either. So I'll come back to you, Balaam, what you got there. Oh, okay, not seeing anything. I'll come back, Dad. Balaam, Septuagint contained also apocryphal books, but Jesus never quoted them. This is the Bible in Jesus' time. The Septuagint is the Bible of Jesus' time. I don't know if the Apocrypha books are in it or not. I would have to go and remind myself of that. And I don't know if Jesus quotes from it or not. That's interesting study that you're doing there, Balaam. But I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. I also wouldn't go in that direction of saying Jesus quoted it or didn't quote it means we should read it or not read it. From the same thing that Paul quotes from Greek poetry doesn't mean we should go read the Greek poetry. I mean, he quoted it to illustrate something, to make a point. Nanaki, hey, thank you for the lurk, friend. So I'm just saying, I don't know that that's a basis that I would use to say in or out. So, Mom, I have a friend who strictly goes by the Old Testament part of the Sabbath. She gets mad at me because if I don't have the food to cook until like after when Sabbath starts, says I'm wrong for going to the grocery store during Sabbath. And there's people that have that attitude. I lived in growing up, the town that had the only McDonald's that was closed on Sunday. We had what was called blue laws, which you couldn't be open on Sunday. So we actually at one point had to pay a gas station to be open so that travelers could stop and get gas if they were traveling. If you can't buy food on Sunday, they were supposed to cook the food and prepare it on Saturday. Well, I mean, Friday would have been the day, actually, because they would have been doing it on Saturday. So, Mom Boss Lady, if she's trying to be strict about it, I would say it doesn't even sound like she's being strict about it. Not only did you need to buy the food ahead of time, you needed to have it cooked ahead of time. So this would be like if you were going to have pancakes, they have to already be cooked. You can't heat them up because heating them up is work. So that would be you'd eat it cold. If you had soup, you wouldn't be heating it up because heating it up would be work. It had to be made on the day before. Maybe the exception could be if you had it in the crock pot is turned on the day before and you eat it on the day of, but you probably couldn't turn it off on the pot because that would be working to turn the pot off. So it'd have to stay on from the day before Sabbath to the day after Sabbath in order to make sure you weren't working on the Sabbath. You might even need to, put it in the bowls ahead of time because scoop it in the bowl. I don't know. Is that work too to scoop it in the bowl? And you can't do the dishes because this is the arguments that are going on in Jesus' day. And I would say go read how Jesus responds to people who are trying to enforce the Sabbath laws. And his attitude is the Sabbath is not made for us to be bound in and barriered to do things and to not do things. It was to be a blessing to us, to not have to strive, to not have to do things, to not have to. Well, I think she's might be going a little overboard. So, Lou says, my kids always want to go to a fast food restaurant after church. We aren't helping the no working on Sabbath if my Sabbath is on Sunday. Oh, Lou says, when I was growing up working in restaurants on Sunday, I won't mention the denomination, but the denomination would come out to eat, and it wasn't fast food, have food on Sunday at the restaurant, then leave no tip and say, I'm not tipping you because you're working on Sunday. Yeah, you're working on Sunday, so you're heathen, and I'm not going to tip you because you should have been in church. But you're coming out to eat on Sunday, forcing the person who couldn't be in church to work because they had to prepare the food so that it was ready when you got there? Yeah, no. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. Mom, I understand that part about cooking the day ahead. I just don't understand why I can't buy groceries during Sabbath if I don't get paid until like Friday evening or on Saturday or Sunday, so to speak. It's trying to apply it consistently is what she's trying to do. Like that somehow is working to go buy the groceries. Yeah. I mean, yeah, too overboard. Yeah, exactly. God understands about payday, yeah. Oh, do I know what the word apocrypha really means? I probably did at one point. I don't remember. Balaam? Hey, Balaam. Are you going to be able to be here tomorrow? Let me know if you're able to be here tomorrow, because we could spend some time exploring that tomorrow, because we just have Revelation after Esther to do, and I could wait till Monday to start Revelation, and tomorrow we could go look up and explore Apocrypha, Pseudepigrapha, Deuterocanonical, all of those things. We go look at what those other books are and spend some time doing that tomorrow if you're going to be here. If not, I can do it another time, but I was just saying, if you're going to be here tomorrow, I could plan on it. Okay, so we've got all the nice things. Oh, and the Queen. The Queen is throwing her own party. Yeah, she refuses to read the New Testament, says that I'm worshiping an idol. She always uses an idol. Oh, I'm guessing she must be Jehovah. She is likely Jehovah's Witness then. She's likely Jehovah's Witness. Oh, you don't have to be done. She's probably Jehovah's Witness. maybe I'm wrong. I'm trying to think if there's another one that, yes, because they have a translation of the book of John. Oh, Messianic Jew. Oh, sorry. Oh, she's a Messianic Jew. Well, that's weird. Usually, those who are Messianic Jews are Christian, and they would read the New Testament. So, Seventh-day Adventist? No, Messianic Jew. Okay. I'm not sure then. Not sure then, Mom Boss Lady. That's confusing because, I mean, I understand why she wants to do the practices as a Messianic Jew. That makes sense. Here's one of the other things that not a lot of people focus on is, and we've touched on it as we read through the Bible, the passages where it's talking about, and we usually go to the book of Acts and Peter's vision and say, see, he declared all food. You can eat anything you want. I don't read it that way. Because Peter says, I never ate any of those things. And it doesn't say, well, now you can. It says, don't call anything unclean that I haven't called unclean. And the Old Testament does call all that food unclean. So it doesn't mean that. But what I think the implications are is, don't call Gentiles unclean. I didn't call Gentiles unclean. And he goes to the Gentiles. But then by implication, later in Acts 15, it says the only thing Gentiles have to do is not eat meat sacrificed to idols and blood. That's the only two things. So by that, my understanding of things are that as a Gentile, I do not have to go back to the Old Testament and observe all the Old Testament laws, which would include all the restrictions on Sabbath. I'm a Gentile. However, if you are Jewish, if you would be a Messianic Jew, you should still practice those things because as a descendant of Abraham, biologically, they were given to you, and you had a covenant with God in the Old Testament. You should continue to observe those things and be set apart. So I think now we get the book of Hebrews, and that brings a whole other flavor in there of returning and going back to those things and enforcing them or not. So we're on this whole spectrum of things of what in the Old Testament does continue and what in the Old Testament doesn't continue. And the book of Hebrews goes back to Abraham before the laws of Moses. So there's a whole spectrum there, Mom Boss Lady. It would depend on where she's at that spectrum. And it sounds like she's even further that, no, you have to, like they were arguing in Acts, if you convert to things, then you need to go back to the Old Testament. So it really feels like she's more Jewish than Messianic Jewish if she doesn't even want to worship Jesus. That's an odd one to me, to claim being a Messianic Jew but not worshiping Jesus. So, I don't know. Interesting, Mom Boss Lady. You're probably not going to win an argument there. Okay. On the seventh day, as King Ahasuerus. Yeah, you were just confused. Yeah, like I said, it can get confusing. Yeah, I had friends in seminary that were Messianic Jews. So they went to, a Messianic Jewish congregation. They believed in Jesus. They sang all the songs about Jesus. They worshiped. I can't remember if they worshiped on Saturday or Sunday. So they would still do customs of the Old Testament, and they would do the New Testament stuff as well. No, I try to change her subject right fast. Yeah, I probably would too. You were actually in Acts 15 responding to a video on YouTube last night. Interesting. Well, and some of the things is too, like, there's the interpretation of what's going on in all of that, as well as, I'll give you a different example. So Acts 15. Does it happen before or after Paul corrects Peter? Does it happen before or after Paul corrects Peter for not eating with the Gentiles? And I think it happens after, because I can't see how Peter, after his persuasive argument and all of that says, no, there's no requirements on the Gentiles and all of that, after Acts 15, then suddenly going and saying, oh, but the people from Jerusalem came up here, I can't eat with you no more. I think that happened beforehand, and he learned his lesson, and that's why he's so adamant in Acts 15 that no, you don't do that. They're all permitted. It's all of that. I think it was in that time to begin with after he'd gone to the Gentiles, he's talking about things, and then some others came. He's like, okay, well, I won't associate with, and he gets corrected. And I don't like. I just don't think it just makes Peter so wishy-washy, in my opinion. If after being corrected, after persuading everybody, after arguing for it, then he decides, oh well, I'll go back to the old way. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, I think he's a continuous learning, growing, and that would make him way up here, having grown, and then falling off afterwards. And I'm like, no, it has to be before. Okay, 7th day, after the king was feeling the effects of the wine. It took 7 days to feel the effects. That's a weird thing. Or it's just on the 7th day, when the heart of the king was good with wine. He ordered Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zether, and Carcass, the 7 eunuchs who attended him, to bring Queen Beautiful into the king's presence wearing her royal high turban. He wanted to show the people and the officials her beauty, for she was very attractive. But Queen Beautiful refused to come at the king's bidding. Conveyed through the eunuchs, then the king became extremely angry, and his rage consumed him. I'm going to guess this is something with his heart. Yeah, burned in him. Okay, his rage burned in him. Okay, I thought it might have been heart, but it was not. The king then inquired of the wise men who were discerners of the times, for it was the royal custom to confer with all those who were proficient in laws and legalities. Sorry, I'm turning my heater on here. Those who were closest to him were Karshena, Shether, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marsena, and Mimaka. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So both of these are 7. Both of these are 7. Queen was cute and haughty. Yep. Well, with probably great reason. She's throwing her own party, and she's told she has to leave her party to go to your party. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't think she's in the wrong. I mean, she has consequences for her decision, but I don't think she's in the wrong. These men were the 7 officials of Persia and Media who saw the king on a regular basis and had the most prominent offices in the kingdom. The king asked, by law, what should be done to Queen Vashti in light of the fact that she has not obeyed the instructions of King, Poor? King, I will be silent and poor. What are the instructions that should be given because she hasn't obeyed the instructions of King Silent and Poor conveyed through the eunuchs? So, hey, we got a sitch here. What do we do about it? Memucan then replied, okay, we have one person whose name is mentioned out. What does his name mean? Let's go look it up. 16. What is Memucan? I guess I need to know all the royal laws of conduct before I speak further. No, you don't. Memucan.
Strong's H 4462. Memucan. Memucan.
Dignified. Okay. So dignified then replied, I think there's something in that name. The wrong of Queen Vashti is not against the king alone, but against all the officials and all the people who are throughout all the provinces of King. I will be silent and poor. For the matter concerning the queen will spread to all the women, leading them to treat their husbands with contempt, saying, when King I will be silent and poor gives an order to Queen Beautiful to bring Queen Beautiful into his presence, she would not come. And this very day, the noble ladies of Persia and Media, who have heard the matter concerning the queen, will respond in the same way to all the royal officials, and there will be more than enough contempt and anger. Okay, this is like logical reasoning, but it's also filled with fear. The meaning of their names. I know. If the king is so inclined, let a royal edict go forth from him, and let it be written in the laws of Persia and Media that cannot be repealed, that beautiful may not come into the presence of king. I will be silent and poor. And let the king convey her royalty to another who is more deserving than she. And let the king's decision that he will enact be disseminated throughout all the kingdom, vast though it is, that all the women will give honor to their husbands, from the most prominent to the lowly. Lady Palace, welcome in. Okay, so the queen stands up to the drunk husband who gives an outrageous request when he's drunk to show her off, and she's like, I'm not having it. And the officials are all worried that this is going to tear down the fabric of society. We can't have this. Like, we'll lose control of everybody. Maybe he hasn't. He should have been silent when he was drunk and boasting. Yes, I will be silent and poor. The matter seemed appropriate to the king and the officials, so the king acted on the advice of, what was his name again? Dignified. He sent letters throughout all the royal provinces, to each province according to its own script, and to each people according to their own language, that every man should be ruling his family and should be speaking the language of his own people. Okay, so just an aside thought here. This is not a man of God. This is not a people of God who are decreeing how the family should operate. Just because this is what's being decreed, that I should be able to command my wife to come in and show her off on stream whenever I want. Like, let me just send her a text message, come in, I got to show you off. She should respond and do that. Like, no, that is Gentile thinking. That is worldly thinking. That is not the biblical example. We are learning the lesson of the not biblical example of what they're doing. This is operation out of fear. It's operation out of power over. I have power over you. I can't lose power over you. So I'm going to banish you essentially from ever coming to the presence of the king. So she's lost the royal title of queen. She's now just one of the harem that won't get visited. Like, it doesn't say divorce. It doesn't say kick her out. It's you can't come in the presence of the king. You don't want to come in the presence of the king when you're commanded. You don't get to ever come in the presence of the king. That's what we have here. And now we get these guys going even further of, we're going to declare that every woman better obey her husband. Every man should be ruling his family. This is not from the mouth of God or a follower of God. This is the ruling of a foreign king. So keep that in mind when you make arguments around this and say it's a biblical idea. Yeah, it's a biblical idea from a king who was awful. Just saying. And we've already looked at the New Testament. If you want to go back and watch the VODs on reading through I can't remember if it's 1st or 2nd Peter, and also Ephesians and other places. We've already read through all that. So, okay. When these things had been accomplished, and the rage of King I will be silent and poor had diminished, he remembered Beautiful, and what she had done and what had been decided against her. The king's servant who attended him said, "Let a search be conducted on the king's behalf for attractive young women." Good of form. Okay. So all of a sudden, he's sober, the party's over, and he's like, oh man, I can't have beautiful come in no more. She was beautiful and all that, and I can't have her come in because she's not able to ever come in because we made a law. That was a good plan. And let the king appoint officers throughout all the provinces of his kingdom to gather all the attractive young women to Susa, the citadel, to the harem, under the authority of Haggai, the king's eunuch who oversees the women, and let him provide whatever cosmetic they desire. Let the young women whom the king finds most attractive become queen in place of Vashti. This seemed like a good idea to the king, so he acted accordingly. Okay, so beautiful can't come no more. So let's have a beauty pageant. Let's bring every beautiful young woman from the whole country together because the king's the most important. So The Bachelor. We have The Bachelor, ladies and gentlemen. This is The Bachelor. It is not a new idea that got put on television. The king was doing the show The Bachelor. They all got brought in. They could get whatever they want. Okay, I want to go look up the name Haggai here a minute. Where is it? There it is. TV show. Well, it wasn't for TV, but it was for the king's entertainment. So, custody of Haggai.
Strong's H, 1896. Haggai.
It just means eunuch.
Haggai.
It just means eunuch. That's a surprise. The authority of eunuch. Okay, they could have just translated as eunuch. The king's eunuch. Okay, wait. That's weird. Oh, so they use a different word for official or eunuch. Okay. So his name is Eunuch the Eunuch. His name is Eunuch the Eunuch. That's weird. Okay. Now there happened, see this is how the story goes. It doesn't tell us direct things. There is just divine providence all over the book. The name of God is not mentioned in the book. Instead, the divine providence of God shows up all over the place. Now there happened to be a Jewish man in Susa, the citadel, whose name was Mordecai. He was the son of Jair, the son of Shammai, the son of Kish, a Benjamite, who had been taken into exile from Jerusalem with the captives, who'd been carried into exile with Jeconiah, the king of Judah. Okay, there we go today. Jeconiah. I believe that's another name. Does it tell us? Jeconiah is the alternate of Jehoiachin. That's what I was thinking. So he's taken in 596. 596 is when he went into exile. So he might have been a young man when he went into exile. We don't know. But he outlived the Babylonians in exile. Okay, I do want to go look up Mordecai's name. Mordecai is a pagan name that refers to the name of the Babylonian deity Marduk. Probably many Jews of the period had two names, one for the secular use and the other use, especially within the Jewish community. Mordecai's Jewish name is not recorded in the biblical text. Okay. 5. Mordecai. Little man, worshiper of Mars.
Strong's H, 4782. Mordechai.
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 Okay, so this would depend on how you vowel point this, whether the point should be a worshiper of Mars. I would go with little man. Like, I mean, it could be worshiper of Mars, but like telling the story of there just happened to be an insignificant person. That would be a little man of insignificance. That would be the direction I'm going, that I think the author is trying to use. There was this little man, like if you're telling a nice story, there was a little man in Susa in the Citadel, like not a big important man like the king. Yeah, and he was in exile. Like, to me, that makes sense. That's where I would go with it. Okay. Now, he was acting as a guardian of Hadassah, that is Esther, the daughter of his uncle, for neither her father or mother was alive. Universally understood to mean her father and mother are no longer alive. Hadassah. Hadassah is a Jewish name that probably means myrtle. The name Esther probably derives from the Persian word for star, although some scholars derive it from the name of the Babylonian goddess Ishtar. Esther is not the only biblical character of whom two different names were used. Daniel, renamed Belshazzar, his three friends. Hananiah, renamed Shadrach. Mishael, renamed Meshach. Azariah, renamed Abednego, were all given different names by their captors. So that would make sense that Mordecai also had this. Hadassah also has this. Like, you come in, you have a name. You have one that is used within your culture. You have one that's used outside of it. So this would be the same on some level as your streamer name versus your real name. And if you're not in the inner circle, you don't get to know the IRL name. You only get to know the other name. You know, those kinds of things. Okay. This young woman was very attractive and had a beautiful figure. When her father and mother died, Mordecai had raised her as if she were his own daughter. Okay, beautiful of form, the Hebrew noun form, shape, is used elsewhere to describe the physical body shape of women. So that's where they're going with a good, beautiful figure. Now, it doesn't matter what she looked like to us to say, oh, I know what she looked like because she was beautiful. Because throughout time and across different regions, beauty is looked at differently. So whatever she had was what was attractive in that day and age. So if there was the time where pale skin was the thing that was attractive, she had that. If it was the time in which having a nice tan was the thing, she had that. Whatever it was, she had it going on. We're on a song today. Hadassah has got it going on. Yeah, not Stacy's mom. Hadassah has got it going on. King Silent and poor thought she had it going on. Okay. It so happened, again, we have this phrase, it so happened that when the king's edict and his law became known, many young women were taken to Susa, the citadel, to be placed under the authority of Haggai. Esther also was taken to the royal palace to be under the authority of Haggai, who was overseeing the women. This young woman pleased him, was good in his eyes. She was he was very impressed with her. And she found favor with him. He quickly provided her with her cosmetics and her rations. He also provided her with seven specially chosen young women who were from the palace. He then transferred her and her young women to the best quarters in the harem. So, she's impressive to him. She gets 7 servants to assist her in all of this stuff, and she gets the best room. So whatever she is doing, the way she is treating, the way she is acting, the way she's behaving is impressive. Oh, this sounds a whole lot like Joseph. While in captivity, taken under duress perhaps, don't know if she was willing to go, if she had a choice, taken under duress, doing the best in the circumstance that she is in, becomes impressive and becomes elevated. Lou says, when a new person comes into chat with a hard name to say, some streamers will say, is it okay to call you blank, something close to the personal name? Yeah, that's a little different than what I was saying, though. But yeah, I get that. Well, that's also, there's a few people that come in here that I mispronounced their name or something and asked for clarification when they first came in. How do you say it? What do you want to be called? And they will just go with, you can just call me this. So like Nico isn't in the name, but he is Dilladal or something, the Dane, and so then I just say Nico the Dane, so people know I'm talking about him because he's got Dane in the name. So there's a couple of those people that I must have really horribly got their name wrong, and they're like, just call me this, But yeah, well, what's really funny is, like, I want to say I had been streaming maybe 6 months, and I went into someone's stream, and they had never been in my stream to my knowledge. My name hadn't been used in my stream. I went in their stream, and they outed my name. I'm like, what? How do you know? What did you do? Where did you, like, you had to have been searching me out before I even came and visited you that you knew my name, because it wasn't there. So, well, that's also loose, as I was calling you sluices to begin with. Yeah, stalker, yeah. Because the 5 was there, so I was putting it as an S, as creative there. So it'd be sluices. And I know some say Lucy or loose. So, yes. Okay. Yeah, Donnie, that's pretty funny. Stalker. I would just say very tech-savvy, skilled person, more than that. But it so happened when the king's edict and his law became known, many young women... Oh, we did that. Okay. Didn't scroll. Now, Esther had not disclosed her people or her lineage, for Mordecai had instructed her not to do so. So she's taken away. Mordecai saying, hey, don't reveal who you are. Don't reveal who you are when you go. And day after day, Mordecai used to walk back and forth in front of the court of the harem in order to learn how Esther was doing and what might happen to her. So Mordecai's going back and forth to the court every day where the harem is. He's not going in. He doesn't have access, but he has friends in the system. And he's just a little man. Remember, he's just a small man, from, I think, stature-wise, not height. So, anyway, so he's trying to do that. Kit, need a redemption to say all the names wrong while reading. Do you need a redemption for that, Kit? I mean, it kind of happens and a lot of times naturally, right? Like we could, do the switching the letters of first and last name there, so we could do Bit Keardstone, and Dronny Deems. That'd be some fun names there, right? At the end of the 12 months that were required for the women, when the turn for each woman arrived to go to King Silent and Poor, this way they had to fulfill their time of cosmetic training, 6 months with oil and myrrh, 6 months with perfume and various ointments used by women. The women would go to the king in the following way. Okay, so is this like just me or is this weird? Like, I'm bored. I got rid of my wife. What am I to do? Let's have a contest. But they need a year. They need 12 months of training of how to look good. What? And it says Mordecai's going back and forth every day to find out what's going on. Okay. So this is how they would go. Whatever she asked for would be provided for her to take with her from the harem to the royal palace. In the evening, she went And in the morning she returned to a separate part of the harem to the authority of Sha'askaz, the king's eunuch who was overseeing the concubines. She would not go back to the king unless the king was pleased with her and she was requested by name. Okay, so I'm not saying this happens every night, but you're in the virgin part of the harem. You go to the king, and then you go to the concubine part afterwards. And these women are brought from all over the kingdom. You have to so impress the king that the next day, after he met you for one night, he has to remember your name and call you by name when he wants you to come out, okay? So the king has to call for you by name. Means you got to be really impressive. Now, you can bring whatever you want. I don't know what they're bringing. I'm guessing it might be, if you were a belly dancer, you'd bring your outfit. If you were, bringing pillows, you're bringing a blanket. You're bringing furs. I don't know what you're bringing. It doesn't tell us. I'm just trying to suppose what some of those things were. Like, hey, we're gonna lay down on a lion's rug, king. That's what we're gonna do there. Yeah, grabs milk, perfect for dipping. Yes. Yeah, some kind of gift or something that you're going to lavish on the. I'm going to bring grapes and feed you, something. The Bachelor at Biblical Times. Uncle Teddy, yes, that's what we were talking about earlier, that this is the OG Bachelor. This is the OG Bachelor. The king, who is silent and poor, is the OG Bachelor. All right, we got an ad break coming in 30. I'm going to leave it there. So we just know what's coming up is going to be Esther's turn. So let's go ahead and feed the fish. I still need to get the song, the right song over there. Sorry, it's still the old song. Oh, and I remember what I was going to look up earlier was the Dream a Christmas song. Where was that at? Don't need to redeem a Christmas song no more. There it is. Turn that one off. Okay, that's what I wanted off. Now I remember. Ad break is ending. All right. Missing the space bar? Oh, you used but got no spaces. Okay. Let me see what you typed anyway that I missed. Or it got messed up. Oh. I missed the fish song. Yeah, I need to get it in there. And here I thought you were doing the hashtag thing. Hey, Cat Jam! Supersonic, saved by grace. Welcome in, friend. Did that open up? Yeah, we did. Go live. All right, fish. The koi pond is live if you want to go over there and hang out and relax. That's what we got going on. Nice waves on the beach today, by the way. I thought they were nice. Okay. So we now have learned more details. It takes a whole year of beauty treatments before you get to go to the king. And you get one night with the king, and you better impress him so that he remembers your name. If not, bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. When it became the turn of Esther, daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had raised her as if, if she were his own daughter, to go to the king, she did not request anything except what Haggai, the king's eunuch, who was overseer of the women, had recommended. So she's like, what should I take? What should I take? I trust your judgment. You know the king. You're the prep guy. You're the one doing all this stuff. What should I do? Then Esther was taken to King, I shall be silent and poor, at his royal residence in the 10th month, that is, the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. Okay, don't know what year we started at, but now we are in the 10th month of the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther more than all the other women, and she met with his loving approval more than all the other young women. And so he gave her a rose. So he placed the royal high turban on her head and appointed her queen in place of beautiful. Okay, wait. Did you get this? The royal high turban. She gets the royal high turban. Then the king prepared a large banquet for all his officials and his servants. It was actually Esther's banquet. He also set aside a holiday for the provinces, and he provided for offerings at the king's expenses. So he's so impressed with Queen Esther that he throws a party. We got a queen. We have a queen. It's the rose ceremony, everybody. The final rose. Now when the young women were being gathered again, Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate. Esther was still not divulging her lineage or her people, just as Mordecai had instructed her. Okay, what does it mean the young women were gathered again? The Septuagint does not include the words, now when the young women were being gathered again. The Hebrew word, a second time, is difficult, but apparently refers to a subsequent regathering of the harem. Okay. Esther continued to do what Mordecai had said, just as she had done when he was raising her. In those days, while Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate, Bigthan and Teresh, two of the king's eunuchs who protected the entrance, became angry and plotted to assassinate King Silent and Poor. When Little Man heard of the conspiracy, he informed Queen Esther, and Esther told the king in Little Man's name. The king then had the matter investigated, and finding it to be so, had the two conspirators hanged on a gallows. It was then recorded in the daily chronicles in the king's presence. Okay. The text of Esther does not disclose exactly how Mordecai learned. Okay, that's not what I'm sorry, in the wrong place. Or on a pole or a tree. Okay, so here's one of the things. We often have the idea of hanging, of like a noose hanging on a gallows image, and it's often translated as gallows. as I studied this and looked at it, given the time period and the way that the Persians would kill people, like impaling on a pole like Vlad the Impaler might be a better translation. Like you take the pole and you shove it through the person from one end to another, and then you hang the pole up, and they're hanging there on the pole, and the pole's out their mouth. That might be what is a better. So you're hanging on the pole. You're hanging on a tree. That's literally what I was hanging on a tree or on a pole. Okay, I did want to go look up the two men's names. Do they tell us here? Big Thana is a variant. Big Than. Oh, okay. So they're talking about the LXX, the Septuagint ham. Okay, so we're 221. Big Than, not Nathan. Big Than. And Teresh. Big Thon.
Strong's H904. Big Thon.
In their wine
Big
press.
Thon.
Teresh. Strictness.
Strong's H8657. Teresh. Teresh.
So, in their wine press and strictness. So I'm guessing the one guy had to do with the wine and the other guy had to do with enforcing something, maybe. We're gonna follow the rules, and they're upset because they're Big Than. Oh snap! Yeah. Sometime later. Meanwhile, no, wait. What is it? 5 hours later, an eternity later. I can't remember how. Anyway, King. I shall be silent and poor, promoted Haman, the son of Hamadatha the Agite, exalting him and setting his position above those of all the officials who were with him. Okay. We need to go look him up, and we need to know what an Agite is. So this is Haman. Hey, man. Haman. Agite.
Strong's H91. Agagai. Agagai.
Okay, it didn't tell me. I thought it would tell me. Okay, I thought there was a spot. Anyway, Haman.
Strong's H2001. Haman.
Yeah, was that your Ren Fair voice? Yes. Well, I was. Yeah, that's good enough. Yeah, it's my Ren Fair voice. So we have Mordecai, which means small man, and Haman, which means magnificent. I mean, like, if your name is magnificent, it's like, my name is Flatcap Dapper the Great. The Great. Everybody, the Great. Magnificent. Not Maleficent. Magnificent. I thought the Agites. I got to go look this up. My brain is stuck on the Agites. Of Agag, the enemy of Israel, the king of the Amalekites. Okay, that's where it is. That's what I need to go look up is Agag. Okay. He captured King Agag the Amalekite. But he executed all Agag's people with the sword. This is in Numbers, and then in Samuel. However, Here we go. Saul and his army spared Agag along with the best. Okay, this is exactly what I was looking for. Okay. So Saul is supposed to kill all the people and all of the and sacrifice everything, devote it totally to God, but he wasn't willing to do this. He was not willing to do this. So Agag is spared. The army spares Agag, and Saul is the one who does it. Saul is a Benjamite. Saul is a Benjamite. Okay? So Haman may not know all of the story, but he certainly knows probably some of the backstory of, hey, we used to be a people, and these are the people that slaughtered my people, and we survived. So that's what I was trying to remember, the connection there, if that's what it is. So technically, Mordecai and Rigby from regular show should have their names flipped around. Mordecai is the tall guy. Rigby was the short one in that cartoon. Oh, but I don't think it's height. Little small man, meaning significance, because his name he's just insignificant, I think, is the point of his name. We also said it could be worshiper of Mars. I think in the story, it's the small man, not in stature. It's the small man in terms of significance. He's a nobody. Like, that'd be a translation. So nobody, he's just a nobody. He's just insignificant. That's what I think that means by small man there. Versus magnificent. Haman is magnificent. He is the guy that everybody should be praising, and Mordecai is the guy that's of nothing. Yeah, that would have worked then. Okay. I like your thinking now. I like that. I liked, if you've been here any length of time, you know I love looking up name meanings. They add so much to the story, especially when I read them that way. Okay. As a result, all the king's servants who were at the king's gate were bowing and paying homage to Magnificent, for the king had so commanded. However, small man did not bow, nor did he pay homage. See, here's where the foreshadowing of the names now makes sense. But if we're just reading, the nobody won't pay homage to the magnificent man. Then the servants of the king who were with the king's gate asked, little man, small man, insignificant man, why are you violating the king's command? And after they had spoken to him day after day without his paying any attention to them, they informed Magnificent to see whether this attitude of little man part would be permitted. Furthermore, he had disclosed to them he was a Jew. Yes, so this is a reversal of fortune. He's telling Queen Esther, don't reveal your heritage, don't reveal your heritage, don't reveal your heritage, don't reveal your heritage. He will not obey the king's order. And he's there, and these servants are asking him day after day, why don't you obey? Why don't you obey? Why don't you obey? Why aren't you obeying? Why? And he just ignores them. He just ignores them. Finally, he's like, his answer is, I'm a Jew. Like, that's it. That's it. Like, just, that's all. When Magnificent heard that little man was not bowing or paying homage. See how much fun this is when you read it that way? When Magnificent saw that little man would not bow or pay homage to him, he was filled with rage. But the thought of striking out against little man alone was repugnant to him, for he had been informed of the identity of little man's people. So Magnificent sought to destroy all the Jews, that is, the people of little man, who were in all the kingdom of Silent and Poor. Isn't that fun to read that way? I mean, okay. See, you get the irony when you read the meaning of the names. You get the story. It's just like, it's so juicy and intriguing when you read it that way. I want a translation that just does that, but nobody does that. Nobody does. They want to give names to people. I want to give meanings. Quit giving, like, translate the name meanings, okay? Anyway. In the first month, that is the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Artaxerxes' reign. Okay, so we had the 7th year when Esther comes into the presence of the king. I don't know if it's year 8, actually, after the year of beauty. So she's been queen for 4 years. We'll do it that way. If it's year 8 to 12, she's been queen like 4 years. Well, he'll never be bored. Oh, no. 12th year of King Silent and Poor. Sorry, I'm just hearing an ad over here. Let me skip the ad. Nope, it's not going to let me skip. Okay. It's funny, I can't hear the music that's playing in the background, but whenever an ad pops up, I can pick up, oh, there's talking over there. There's an ad running. Per, that is Lot. Okay. In the 12th year of the king, Per, that is Lot, was cast before Haman in order to determine a day and a month, and turned out to be the 12th month, that is the month of Adar. Okay. So, since verse 7 seems to indicate the flow of the narrative, many scholars have suggested this is a later addition to the text, but there is not enough evidence to warrant such a conclusion. Okay. Oh! Emarzil, welcome in. Glad to have you in here. We're reading in the book of Esther right now. Lou says, it will be very thick Bible because some names have more than one word to get to the meaning of the name. Yeah. Yeah, let's add another 20 pages, 40 pages, 50 pages to get meaning of the name in there every time. Yep. Put the name, actual name in the footnote. Okay. So they're casting lots per. Okay, so this is per or lot is an Akkadian loan word, Akkadian loan word. The narrator therefore explains for his Hebrew readers that it is lot. It is from the plural of the word Purim that the festival celebrates the deliverance of the Jews, or Purim is probably what you've heard the festival. So this whole setup here is going to lead to another festival. So casting of lots. If you don't know what casting of lots would be. So, like, there's several different ways this may have happened, okay? Since it is determining the month and the day, what you might do is have, some would use like maybe knuckle bones, okay? So think of them like dice. You could roll them. So some would imagine in some places casting of lot might be that way. So I'm going to roll a 12-sided die, and whichever month comes up, that's the month it is. Okay. Now I'm going to figure out what day of the month. So again, I'm going to roll that or not. You could also think of this as long straw. You know, like you've ever done a long straw. Whoever gets a long straw is the one. And the idea here is you are placing, now this is also true of Israel and those who were foreigners. So, oh, we got a raid.
Emarzai just raided with 14 viewers.
Hey. Emarzai, thank you. Let me get my raid song rolling in here. Welcome in, Raiders! They are playing exclamation point. That's interesting. Welcome, amazing humans. Glad to have you here. Emarzai, glad to have you here. Thank you. I'm watching. Yeah, BRB, you got a call? Hope it's something beneficial. Welcome in. Glad to have you here. Thank you for spreading God's word. Absolutely. Love to. We are working on scam call. Ugh, I hate those. I get those all the time. Yeah, we you can see in the VOD there, most of the time I am reading in the Bible is what I'm doing. Occasionally I do other things as well. You can see some old setups there flipped around from what I have now, but there's the artwork I was painting. We did that for mental health awareness. I do have fish. We read the Bible. I've got some hats. And there's Wywis, the albino plecostomus, who likes to rearrange the tank. You come in here, you are free to ask questions. You're open to getting prayer for you, whatever's going on. This is I want to say a safe place for anyone of any faith, of any beliefs, to hang out and ask questions, share what's going on in life, sharing troubles, sharing struggles, and we're going to love on you and care for you. So thank you for coming in. Thank you for trusting. I still got my Christmas lights hanging up because Christmas is not over. The 12 days of Christmas go through January 6th, and so we still need to do that. I do not do it before Thanksgiving. I'm sorry for those people who did it ahead of Thanksgiving, and now you're tired and you put your Christmas tree away. Just shift it. Go later. Go later. Amarzai. Am I saying that right? Amarzai? I'm Christian. Most of my followers aren't, but they are very respectful. I love my community. That's awesome. And thank you for coming over here. Feel free to ask questions, hang out. I appreciate it. We were not every year, like every other year. Emarzi. Thank you. That is so much better. Emarzi. Or Emerzy. Is it Emerzy? Emarzi. Thank you for bringing them over. We're just trying to finish up reading through the Bible in a year. Didn't quite make it this year in a full year. So we're going to finish Esther today. And then we just have the book of Revelation. We just have the book of Revelation to finish the 2024 reading of the Bible. In 2025, we won't be reading the Bible in a year. We'll be reading the Bible. We'll be exploring, taking more time and going over things that way. So we're in the book of Esther, which is a fascinating book, one of my favorite books. It doesn't mention God's name at all. It doesn't mention God at all, but it does this phrase that you know what it means behind it is it just so happened. It just so happened. It's just trying to say coincidentally, but not coincidentally, by the providence of God without saying that. It's trying to let you see the hand of God at work through the whole story without ever telling you that God's hand is at work. So that's what the book is doing. It is revealing God's presence in the midst of everything without having to beat you over the head and say, God did this all. It is saying, look at how God is underneath the surface of all of these things. And you didn't even see it. You didn't know it until you looked back, and then you could see it. But God was there the whole time. That's what I love about the book. So what we have going on right now is Esther is queen. Mordecai, her uncle, will not bow down to Haman, who Haman means magnificent. So I read the name meaning sometimes because it is more fun to hear it that way. King Ahasuerus, his name means I will be silent and poor. So I'm just saying King silent and poor. And Mordecai could mean worshiper of Mars, but it also could mean little man. So insignificant in any way. So I've been reading it, the little man and magnificent as we read through the story. So you got it right. Yes. Awesome. Okay. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate you. Ask questions along the way. And we'll keep going. Okay. Oh, we were just talking about casting lots. That's where I was at. I was talking about casting lots. So the idea behind the of casting lots is the hand of God or your God. So it does work for the Israelites too. The hand of the God, or if you are a pantheon, a worshiper of multiple gods, the hand of the gods would cause the result to happen. So you're taking it out of human hands and you're putting it into the realm of the spirit realm of the divine realm. So that's the idea behind casting lots. So It could have been a rolling of dice. It could have been something else that would attribute to it. Another manner we might do is drawing straws. So they are casting lots to take it out of human hands and put it in the hands of the gods in order to determine when action is going to happen. And so it was determined a day and a month, and it turned out to be the 12th month. That is the month of Adar. Now, did we get the day? We don't get the day yet. Okay. Then Haman, then magnificent, said to King Silent and Poor, there is a particular people that is dispersed and spread among the inhabitants throughout all the provinces of your kingdom, whose laws differ from those of all other peoples. Furthermore, they do not observe the king's laws. It is not appropriate for the king to provide a haven for them. If the king is so inclined, let an edict be issued to destroy them. I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to be conveyed to the king's treasuries for the official who carries out this business. So he not only hates Mordecai so much, he hates this people so much, he's willing to pay to exterminate them. But look how he sets it up. This people, they are unlawful. They don't obey the king's laws. They are disruptive. They are dispersed. Okay? He lays it out as a threat. Now, this is one of the coolest. Okay, so one of the things I usually do when reading in the Bible is I don't like to read just one book at a time. I like to read multiple books at the same time. So I was reading through, I think probably King Solomon there, or King Saul in Samuel there, that we were just looking up the reference to, and realizing or having just read about King Saul being a Benjamite, and reading the book of Esther and finding out she's a Benjamite. And then you have Hagar, who was an Agagite, and King Saul, who was supposed to kill Agag. Had King Saul actually carried out what he was supposed to do, this story never happens. This story never happens if Saul was obedient. This story, do you get that? This story never happens if Saul was obedient. Okay. The other thing is, it doesn't say she's a descendant of Saul. She's a descendant of Benjamin. Okay. So Benjamin did have the throne. Okay. They had a king on the throne. Then the kingdom was taken away from the line of Benjamin. But now Benjamin has a queen on a different throne. So there is a restoration that happens of the lineage of Benjamin through Esther. There is a wrong that happened through Saul that returns to wreak havoc because Saul didn't do it. I mean, like the weaving together, like if you don't know the lineage of Saul and you don't know he's a Benjamite and you're not paying attention and you don't look up Ag and Agite and all of that stuff, you miss all those things. It's still a great story. Okay, so you'll hear me talk about this. I can never remember the Jewish terms. There's the Peshat level and the Shod, and I can't remember the other, but it's like the surface level reading is still beautiful. Then there's a deeper level below that. We're in that deeper level. We're in the deeper level, and then there's a hidden level. And we're on a few of these things, we're touching that hidden level of discovering the Agite, and that Ag was supposed to have been killed by Saul, and he doesn't, and then the ramifications of that, and then the restoration of that. We're in that deeper level. We might be even in the hidden level. We're probably just in the deeper level, but we can get into that deeper level, and that's what you get by reading things side by side, reading them overlapping each other instead of reading chronologically, because by the time I get to this story, I forget that if I read chronologically. Another reason I'm not a fan of chronological reading. Chronological reading is, I think, still better than reading from cover to cover. Cover to cover is my least favorite. So anybody who's planning on reading the Bible through in a year, starting in Genesis, reading through Revelation, that is my least favorite way to do it. I think it is the least beneficial way to do it because you're not going to remember a lot of things, and you're not going to have New Testament connections with Old Testament when you finish all the Old Testament before you even get to the New Testament. Anyway, let's get back to our story. Then we read the particular. Oh, he's paying him.
He's paying them. How's the king going to respond? So the king removed his signet ring from his hand and gave it to Magnificent, the son of Hamadatha the Agite. I want to say the Aglet. If you know what an Aglet is, that makes that really funny. Who was hostile towards the Jews? The king replied to Magnificent, keep your money and do to these people whatever you wish. Here's the ring. You write it up. You make the law. So the scribes were summoned in the first month of the 13th day of the month. So we've got the first month on the 13th day, and we have all the way until month 12. We have, so essentially, we had the bachelorette, the bachelor is the first part of the story, and now we're going to get the purge. We're going to get the purge is what's going to happen now. Everything Magnificent commanded was written to the king's satraps and governors who were in every province, and to the officials of every people, province by province according to the script, and the people by people according to their language. Yeah, this book is cinematic. It is so good. In the name of King, I will be silent and poor. So you're throwing a party for 180 days. You wonder why you're going to end up being silent and poor. You tell your wife what to do. Notice, the king never gives issues or decrees here, right? The king lets the officials determine what happens to Vashti. The king lets others determine the crowning of a new queen. The king now determines, lets Haman, Magnificent, determine what happens. Okay, notice the king is never doing these things. The king is silent. The king just lets people do the stuff. He's dishing out authority. He's never doing it. The king is truly silent and poor. I mean, it's beautiful. Okay. In the name of King Silent and Poor, it was written and sealed with the king's signet ring. Letters were sent by runners to all the king's provinces stating that they should destroy, kill, and annihilate. So, wait. You have to destroy, kill, and annihilate. Wouldn't destroy do it? Wouldn't killing do it? Wouldn't annihilate like the vitriol. Like, you can't just, I'm trying to remember, what is it? Yeah, I'm trying to think of it. First we'll kill them, and then I can't remember the quote, but I had a quote in my head, and I've got it all messed up. But it's probably not a great quote anyway. Okay. From youth to elderly, both women and children, on a particular day, namely the 13th day of the 12th month, that is the month of Adar. So 13. So we have exactly 11 months to go. So we're on the first month, we're going to the 12th month, 11th or 13th to 13th. And to loot and plunder their possessions. There it is. A copy of the edict was to be presented as law throughout every province. It was to be made known to all the inhabitants so that they would be prepared for this day. The messengers scurried forth with the king's orders. The edict was issued in Susa, the citadel, while the king and Magnificent sat down to drink. The city of Susa was in an uproar. So the city is in an uproar over this. And the king and Magnificent are sitting down for a drink. It says the peoples were in an uproar. The city was in an uproar. Oh, sorry, wrong. The city of Susa was in an uproar. The final statement of verse 15 is a sad commentary on the pathetic disregard of despots for human misery and suffering that they sometimes inflict on those who are helpless to resist their power. Here, while the common people brace for the reckless loss of life and property that is about to begin, the perpetrators went about their mundane activities as though nothing of importance was happening. Yeah, we're just sitting down for a drink, nothing to see here. Well, you'd even think of it as a toast more. So, bootstraps, boots, buddy, welcome in. Now, when Small Man became aware of all that had been done, he tore his garments and put on sackcloth and ashes. He went out in the city, crying out in a loud and bitter voice. But he went no further than the king's gate, for no one was permitted to enter the king's gate clothed in sackcloth. So he hears this. He's distressed. The tearing of your garment, the putting on sackcloth and ashes, is an outward expression of the inward sorrow and emotion you are feeling. Donnie, okay, you're going to lurk. Thank you, friend. Got to get some breakfast and possibly go back to sleep. Tension headache has got me down. Muscles in your neck are so tense it literally hurts to move my head. Hope you have a good rest of your streams. Dude, I'm sorry to hear that. I do know that, like, you can soak your feet in hot water will help with headaches, but I don't know if it does with tension headaches. That might not be, because that's a blood flow issue. If you've got one caused with blood flow, the blood flow will shift and lower the pressure. Tension, you might need to put some heat or something on your neck. Thanks for the lurk, friend. So he goes as far as he can, but he can't go in because you can't go in there. Like, this is like, no, you can't be that in here. Again, can't be sad in front of the king. We had that from Nehemiah. You have that. You don't bring sorrow and sadness before the king. So even in the court, you can't have that. Throughout each and every province where the king's edict and law were announced, there was considerable mourning among the Jews, along with fasting, weeping, and sorrow. So we have mourning, fasting, weeping, sorrow. Although prayer is not specifically mentioned here, it is highly unlikely that the appeals to God for help were not a part of the react. Oh, yeah. So not only do we not have prayer mentioned, like Nehemiah mentions prayer at least 11 times, if I remember right. We have fasting, weeping, and sorrow. This is where the prayer would fit. Sackcloth and ashes were characteristic of many. So mourning, fasting, weeping, sorrow, sackcloth, ashes. We got 6. But we have no mention of God. So the unmentioned thing is mentioned is number 7. When Esther's female attendants and her eunuchs came and informed her about Mordecai's behavior, the queen was overcome with anguish. Okay, so the queen is informed because they know Mordecai. Mordecai comes and goes. Mordecai hasn't been there. He's come daily, it said, while she's there. So Mordecai shows up every day. They know. They go out. They see Mordecai. They come back. They report. Although she sent garments for Mordecai to put on so that he could remove his sackcloth, he would not accept them. So she wants to talk to Mordecai. She can't go out to him. So she sends clothes to Mordecai. So Mordecai, so little man, can put on clothes to come and be in her presence. Like, hey, come talk to me. Come talk to me. She's like, I'm not having that. I'm still mourning. I'm not changing. Thanks for the lurk. Bootstraps. Boots. He would not accept. So Esther called for Hathach, one of the king's eunuchs, who had been placed at her service, and instructed him to find out the cause and reason for Mordecai's behavior. So Hathach went to little man at the plaza of the city in front of the king's gate. Then little man related to him everything that had happened to him. Okay, I'm just trying, like, why is it related? It didn't happen to him. That is going to happen. Okay. Even the specific amount of money that Haman had offered to pay the king's treasury for the Jews to be destroyed. How does Mordecai know? How does Mordecai know about the sum of money that magnificent Haman wants to pay? How did he find that out? You're beginning to see Mordecai has some real sway within the whole system here of friends and ears, perhaps, because it didn't say it was in the edict. And I don't know that he would have written it in the edict, that the edict would say, I even offered to pay the king the small sum of, and the king said, nah, that's all good. the purge can happen without you paying for the purge. I mean, maybe it was, but I'm just saying, So this insignificant man knows all that's going on, knows and sees and hears all, and the magnificent man knows nothing. Nor does the king. He also gave him a written copy of the law that had been disseminated in Susa for their destruction, so that he could show it to Esther and talk to her about it. He also gave instructions that she should go to the king to implore him and petition him on behalf of her people. So Hathach returned and related little man's instructions to Esther. So when he refused to close, why didn't he do this to begin with? He's still out there weeping and mourning and in sorrow, and he's got 11 months. He's got 11 months to do this, okay? Then Esther replied to Hathach with instructions for little man, all the servants of the king and the people of the king's province. Know that there is only one law applicable to any man or woman who comes uninvited to the king to the inner court. That person will be put to death unless the king extends to him the golden scepter, permitting him to be spared. Now I have not been invited to come to the king for some 30 days. Like, I haven't even seen the king in a month. How do you expect me? If the king doesn't call me, I'm the queen. I'm the queen. I can't just go. I, the queen, still have to wait. He ain't called me in a month. Can you imagine this? This is such a strange circumstance of life, if you ask me. When Esther's reply was conveyed to little man, he said to take this answer back to Esther. Don't imagine that because you are part of the king's household, you will be the one Jew who will escape. If you keep quiet at this time, liberation and protection for the Jews will appear from another source while you and your father's household perish. It may very well be that you have achieved royal status for such a time as this. This is one of my favorite passages in all of Scripture. Don't imagine that because you're part of the king's household, you will be able to escape. If you keep quiet at this time, liberation and protection for the Jews will come from another source. This is saying God is going to do something. Maybe God put you in place so that you would be the one to do it. So maybe you should go do it. And if you're not the one to do it, God has another source in place. It will arise from somewhere else. If you neglect to do it, God will carry it out some way. He is going to deliver us. I have confidence in our God that he will not have us be destroyed, that he will, in fact, deliver us. Maybe you're the deliverer. Oh, this also, by the way, Saul doesn't do the right thing. Saul is only out for his own self. Saul, if you will, is the Haman equivalent here. The one who wants all the accolades, the one who wants all the praise, the one who cares about what people think about him, the one who wants all of that. And so he is doing the opposite that Saul did. Saul didn't want to kill things because they had value. Here, Haman is going to kill things because they are of no value. So we're having a flipping here of the villain being the one in power to the one being the one who thinks they have power but doesn't have power. We have the insignificant person who will deliver is now, like, there's so much flipping going on. Lucis, thank you for the lurk. Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai: Go assemble all the Jews who are found in Susa and fast on my behalf. He's already fasting because of this. But now the fasting is on behalf of another person. I love this. You fast for me. Fast specifically for me. Don't eat, don't drink for 3 days. 3 days, night or day. So this is making sure this is a 24, 48, 72-hour fast. For 72 hours, don't eat or drink anything. I don't know if that includes water or not. When they say don't eat or drink any, I don't know if that includes water or not. I'm not assuming that it has to be that way. But anyway, 3 days, 3 nights. Afterward, I will go to the king, even though it violates the law. If if I perish, I perish. So little man set out to do everything that Esther had instructed him. So we're going to get the whole town to fast for 3 days and 3 nights. How many chapters are there? There's 10 chapters. Wow, we're probably not going to finish Esther today. That's because I take too much time with it. It so happened that on the 3rd day, Esther put on her royal attire and stood in the inner court of the palace opposite the king's quarters. The king was sitting on his royal throne in the palace opposite the entrance. When the king saw Queen Esther standing in the court, she met with his approval. The king extended to Esther the golden serpent that was in his hand, and Esther approached and touched the end of the serpent. I have a magnificent painting of this in my house, of this exact event right there. Boom. The king said to her, "What's on your mind, Queen Esther? What is your request? Even as much as half the kingdom will be given you." I love this. Like, this phrase is like you can have whatever you want. I'll give you up to half the kingdom. Like, kings are always like boasting in this way. You can have half the kingdom if you so like. Why doesn't anyone ever ask? Yeah, I'll take half the kingdom. Thank you, king. I mean, I know it's probably just a phrase and it doesn't mean it, but like, you can't have more than I have. I will give you 49% of the shares of the company, but I will have 51. I'll be still the sovereign, the CEO. President, if you will. Esther replied, if the king is so inclined, let the king and Magnificent come today to a banquet that I have prepared for the king. The king replied, find Magnificent quickly, so that we can do as Esther requests. Okay, this is such a beautiful plan. Like, this is, like, she doesn't make her request. Her request is to bless. Her request is to bless. Okay? So she starts this out by not making the ask. Like, you can ask up to half the kingdom. Well, I just want to give you a dinner. I want to throw a party for you. Okay, remember what happened with Vashti, Queen Beautiful. She wouldn't come to the king when ordered. Esther comes to the king when not ordered. Queen Vashti was concerned with her own banquet and her own party and not leaving it. Esther wants to bring the king to her party. I mean, the reversal here is so beautiful. So the king and Magnificent went to the banquet that Esther had prepared. While at the banquet of wine, the king said to Esther, see the wine reference again. What is your request? It shall be given to you. What is your petition? As much as half the kingdom, it shall be done. Esther responded, my request and my petition is this. If I have found favor in the king's sight, and if the king is inclined to grant my request and approve my petition, let the king and Magnificent come tomorrow to the banquet that I will prepare for them. At that time, I will do as the king wishes. So, no, king, I'm not ready to tell you. I'll throw another banquet tomorrow, just for the two of you. Come to my second banquet. Come back tomorrow. We'll have a second banquet. Like, again, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to bless Magnificent. I'm blessing you. I'm blessing Magnificent again tomorrow. Now Magnificent went forth that day, pleased and very much encouraged. What's the footnote? Happy and good of heart. Glad and pleased of hearts. Happy and in high spirits. I like the high spirits. And when Magnificent saw little man at the king's gate, and he did not rise or tremble in his presence, Magnificent was filled with rage towards little man, but Magnificent restrained himself and went on to his home. So he wants to beat him down right then. He's already set a date. He's got to wait. But this is outrage. Like, I just got honored, and you won't even honor me. I was just at a banquet for just me and the king, and you insignificant little man will not bow to me, the magnificent man. The wordplay is so fun. He then sent for his friends to join him along with his wife, Zeresh. Ooh, we've got a woman's name. What should we do? Should we go look up the name of his wife? Okay, what verse are we in? Verse 10. Zeresh.
Strong's H2238. Zeresh.
I forget this. I don't remember all of them. She's not a big part of the story. His wife's name is Gold. So, trophy wife, anybody? Trophy wife? Magnificent then recounted to them his fabulous wealth. See, when the king wants to show off his wife's beauty, he shows beautiful won't show up. Haman has a wife whose name is Gold. He's showing off fabulous wealth. What they're both interested in, though, is also power. His many sons and how the king had magnified him and exalted him over the king's other officials and servants. Magnificent said, furthermore, Queen Esther invited only me to accompany the king to the banquet that she prepared. And also tomorrow I'm invited along with the king. Yet all this fails to satisfy me so long as I have to see that little man the Jew sitting at the king's gates. Yeah, see, I really think little man is the better translation than worshiper of Mars. And you can get that by the vowels that would be switched around. Magnificent's wife Gold and his friends said to him, have a gallows 75 feet high built, and in the morning tell the king that little man should be hanged on it. Then go to the king to the banquet content. It seemed like a good idea to Magnificent, so he had the gallows built. Okay, again, this could have been like a pole for impaling someone on. It doesn't have to be gallows per se. It would say tree. 50 cubits, assuming a standard length for a cubit is 18 inches, I'd make it 70 foot high. This is a surprisingly tall height for a gallows. Perhaps the number assumes a gallows was built on a large supporting platform on a hill, natural hill, for visual effect, in which case the structure itself may have been considerably smaller. 75-foot platform, a tower built about 75 feet high. Whatever it is, he's going to make sure everybody can see that. Through the night, the king was unable to sleep, so he asked for the books containing the historical records be brought. As the records were being read in the king's presence, it was found written that little man has disclosed that Bigthana, so before it said Big Than, here it's Bigthana, same person, and Teresh, two of the king's units, who guarded the entrance, had plotted to assassinate King I Will Be Silent and Poor. The king asked what great honor was bestowed on little man because of this. The king's attendants who served him responded, not a thing was done for him. Then the king said, who is that in the courtyard? Now Magnificent had come to the outer courtyard of the palace to suggest that the king hang little man on the gallows that he had constructed for him. The king's attendants also said to him, it is Magnificent who is standing in the courtyard. The king said, let him enter. So he can see out in the courtyard. He brings him in. He's going for nefarious purposes. He gets brought into the king. I love the flip here. I love the flip. So Magnificent came in, and the king said to him, "What should be done to the man whom the king wishes to honor?" Magnificent thought to himself, "Who is it that the king would honor more than me?" So Magnificent said to the king, "For the man whom the king wishes to honor, me, let them bring the royal attire which the king himself has worn, and a horse on which the king himself has ridden, one bearing a royal insignia. Then let this clothing and this horse be given to me." I mean, the one whom the king's noble officials. "Let him then clothe the man whom the king wishes to honor, me, and let him lead him about through the plaza of the city on a horse, calling before him, 'So shall it be done to the man whom the king wishes to honor.'" So Haman is all upset about not receiving honor from Mordecai. And now he believes he's going to be the recipient of the king's honor. What better thing can I do than to ride the king's Ferrari, wear the king's crown, and have someone go through and give me a ticker tape parade saying, "This dude's awesome"? The king then said to Magnificent, "Go quickly, take the clothing and the horse just as you have described, and do as you just indicated to little man the Jew, who sits at the king's gate. Don't neglect a single thing that you have said." So he comes with intent for the hanging of little man who will not honor him, and now in turn Magnificent gets to honor little man. So Magnificent took the clothing and the horse, and he clothed little man. He led him about on the horse through the plaza of the city, calling before him, "So shall it be done to the man whom the king wishes to honor." Like, dude, you done messed up, Aaron. You done messed up. Then Mordecai again sat at the king's gates. Little man, while Magnificent hurried away to his home, mournful and with a veil over his head. Look, he can't even, he is so distraught he covers his face so no one can see him. Magnificent then related to his wife Gold and to all his friends everything that had happened to him. These wise men, along with his wife Gold, said to him, if indeed this little man before whom you have begun to fall is Jewish, you will not prevail against him, no, you will surely fall before him. What? What do you mean? His friends told him to do this. While they were still speaking with him, the king's eunuchs arrived. They quickly brought Magnificent to the banquet that Esther had prepared. So now that he's gone and tried to do this, and he's been elevated, if indeed this little man before whom you have begun to fall is Jewish, you will not prevail against him. So his wife, who probably is not an Agite, and his friends, who probably aren't Agites, is like, dude, you're going up against some of this Jewish? Why didn't you reveal this info to us? Like, we would have given you different advice. We just thought this was a little man. You didn't tell us his Jewish name. You cannot prevail. So the king and Magnificent came to dine with Queen Esther. On the second day of the banquet of wine, the king asked Esther, "What is your request, Queen Esther? It shall be granted you. And what is your petition? Ask for up to half the kingdom, and it shall be done." Okay, this is, this is so beautiful. Queen Esther replied, if I have met with your approval, O king, and if the king is so inclined, grant me my life as my request, and my people as my petition. For we have been sold, both I and my people, to destruction and to slaughter and to annihilation. Reading the whole thing, it was destruction, slaughter, and annihilation. She's talking about it being sold. Why? Because Magnificent wanted to pay for this privilege, so we've been sold. If we had simply been sold as male and female slaves, I would have remained silent, for such distress would not have been sufficient for troubling the king. So, like, if I was only going to be sold to slavery, I'd let it go. But we're supposed to not only be sold as slaves, we're to be destroyed, slaughtered, and annihilated. Oh, that's what it is. First we'll hang him and then we'll shoot him. You know, first the hanging and then the shooting. I think that's what it was. Then King I shall be silent and poor responded to Queen Esther. So he's finally going to not be silent. Who is this individual? Where is the person to be found who is presumptuous enough to act this way? Esther replied, the oppressor and enemy is this evil, magnificent man.
Babe Cax 66 just followed.
Hey! Baby Cakes 66. Is that it, Baby Cakes? Hey, welcome in. Thanks for the follow. Then Magnificent. If you just came in, I'm reading the meaning of the names as I'm reading the names and replacing them. So Haman means magnificent. Then Magnificent became terrified in the presence of the king and queen. In rage, the king arose from the banquet of the wine and withdrew to the palace garden. Meanwhile, Magnificent stood to beg Queen Esther for his life, for he realized that the king had now determined a catastrophic end for him. So, Magnificent wants to kill people. He comes in to kill people because he won't be honored. He ends up honoring people, and now he's going to end up being killed. He realizes it. Now he's trying to figure a way out of it. When the king returned from the palace garden to the banquet of wine, Haman, Magnificent, was throwing himself down on the couch where Esther was lying. The king exclaimed, "Will he also attempt to rape the queen while I am still in the building?" So it looks even worse. It looks even worse. It looks like he's trying to attack the queen and have his way. Because, well, this might not be a rational thought. Normally, the king is enraged right now. The king had to leave the room to calm down so he could think and didn't want to act hastily. And now he's come in and the situation has escalated. As these words left his mouth, they covered Magnificent's face. So his face is downcast, like, oh. Harbona, one of the king's eunuchs, said, "Indeed, there is a gallows that Magnificent made for little man who spoke out at the king's behalf. It stands near Magnificent's home and is 75 feet high." The king said, "Hang him high." Oh, sorry. "Hang him on it." So they hanged Magnificent on the very gallows that he had prepared for little man. The king's rage then abated. Okay, what does Harbona mean? Where Harbona is one of the 7 eunuchs sent by the king to summon Vashti to the banquet. Okay. So we're 7. We're at the end, so Harbona. Harbona.
Strong's H 2726. Harbona.
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 So he's the chauffeur. He's the chauffeur. Or he's the keeper of the donkeys. He takes and cares for the animals. We can have real fun with that. He is the one who, donkeys are particularly stubborn and won't go where they're supposed to go. He is now the one who is driving the person to where they need to go, which is to hang him. So, there's some irony in that name. On the same day, King I shall be silent and poor gave the estate of Magnificent, the adversary of the Jews, to Queen Esther. Now little man had come before the king, for Esther had revealed how he was related to her. So Not until she reveals who he is does she reveal the relationship to Mordecai. The king doesn't know necessarily. Now, other people might have known because Mordecai's always around. So there is a relationship. They might have known, but maybe not. So she hasn't revealed he's related to her. She hadn't revealed that she was Jewish, hadn't revealed he was. The king then removed the signet ring, the very one that he had taken back from Magnificent, and he gave it to Little Man. And Esther designated Little Man to be in charge of Magnificent's estate. I wonder, I don't remember if it mentions what happens to Magnificent's wife, Gold. Then Esther again spoke to the king, falling at his feet. She wept and begged him for mercy, that he might nullify the evil of Magnificent the Agagite, and the plot that he had intended against the Jews. When the king extended to Esther the golden scepter, she arose and stood before the king. So, she has come and fallen at the king a second time. And the scepter is given. So maybe this is not the same occasion where Mordecai was just there. This is a second time, or this is an extension of that event. She said, if the king is so inclined, and if I have met approval, and if the matter is agreeable to the king, and if I am attractive to him. What? What does that have to do with it? What? I'm attractive to him? That has to be a part of this? Okay, so the king has to be inclined. I've met his approval. The matter's agreeable. And he still finds me all that and a bag of chips. Let an edict be written rescinding those recorded intentions of Magnificent the son of Hammedatha the Agagite. Which he wrote in order to destroy the Jews who are throughout all the king's provinces. For how can I watch the calamity that will befall my people, and how can I watch the destruction of my relatives? King, I shall be silent and poor. Replied to Queen Esther and to Mordecai, Little Man, the Jew. Look, I've already given Magnificent's estate to Esther, and he has been hanged in the gallows because he took hostile action against the Jews. Now write the king's name, whatever in your opinion is appropriate concerning the Jews, and seal it with the king's signet ring. Any decree that is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's signet cannot be rescinded. So I can't rescind it. Here's the signet ring. You figure out a loophole. Again, the king doesn't take action. The king doesn't take action. Even when the king needed to act against Haman for assaulting Queen Esther, it is the eunuch who says, hey, there's a gallows that we could hang him on. The king never has an idea. The king is silent. He doesn't actually do anything. Everyone around him is the ones who are acting and orchestrating things. The king's scribes were quickly summoned in the third month, that is, the month of Shiva. So we've gone 2 months into this. So there's 8 months to prepare. On the 23rd day, they wrote out everything that Little Man instructed to the Jews and to the satraps and to the governors and the officials of all the provinces, all the way from India to Ethiopia, 127 provinces in all, to each province in its own script, and to each people in their own language, and to the Jews according to their own script and language. We now have an addition. The other was all there. We might have a parallel here up above, or we might have, what am I thinking of? Name is blanking on me. A chiasm. We might have a chiasm here of that matching down here. We might have a chiasm. Don't know for sure, but that would be a place to look, is when you have these things repeated that way, is to look for a chiasm. He then sent letters by couriers who rode royal horses that were very swift. The king thereby allowed the Jews who were in every city to assemble and to stand up for themselves, to destroy, to kill, and to annihilate any army of whatever people or province that should become their adversaries, including the women and children, and to confiscate their property. This was to take place on a certain day throughout all the provinces of King. I will be silent and poor, namely on the 13th day of the 12th month, that is the month of Adar. A copy of the edict was to be presented as law throughout each and every province and made known to all people, so that the Jews might be prepared on that day to avenge themselves on their enemies. So we've got the purge is coming, but you can stand up and purge back. The couriers who were riding the royal horses went forth with the king's edict without delay, and the law was presented in Susa, the citadel, as well. Now little men went out from the king's presence in blue and white royal attire. Oh, we had that add the curtains and stuff in the beginning of what was in the palace. We had the blue curtains. Now we have the Mordecai in blue, with a large gold crown and a purple linen mantle. The city of Susa shouted with joy, for the Jew that was radiant happiness and joyous honor. Oh, for the Jews there was radiant happiness and joyous honor throughout every province and throughout every city where the king's edict and law arrived. The Jews experienced happiness and joy, banquets and holidays. Many of the resident peoples pretended to be Jews because of the fear of the Jews had come over them. So now we've got people pretending to be Jews because of the edict that went out. Okay. We got an ad break coming in. We won't be able to get more finished before the ad break, so we'll just go ahead and go to the fish a wee bit early. Oh, the sun was out earlier. It looks like the sun has abated. Get a little sound there on the waves. Looks like it's going to snow. Oh, it is snowing. It is snowing. Can you see the snow on the camera there? Let me make that big. It is snowing. But I can look out over the lake and you can see the distance that you can see is greatly reduced. So it is quite beautiful watching the snow and the waves. And last week we could see sand on the beach. Most of the snow had melted. All the ice had melted, so. Not too wavy yet. I mean, that's not a big storm. That's just a, nice little storm rolling in. Can you show me how to make the scrolling box later, please? Oh, you mean up in the corner? My logo's there? Is that what you mean? Okay, yeah. Yeah, I can do that. I could make it for you too if you want. I used Canva. I don't know if you have Canva or not. Do you have Canva? If you don't have Canva, just send me the stuff and I'll make it for you and send it back. Okay. There's a free version of Canva, but I don't know if that would work or not. Yeah, send me the stuff you want. I'll make it for you in Canva, and then you'll have the, I can't remember what it's saved as. I'll go look that up. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let me turn the sound off. We don't need sound when I'm off of this. Oh, wrong one. I went to starting screen. So I believe it, let me find it here a minute. Logo video. So it's just a VOD. Yeah, it's just an MP4 is what it is. But I used Canva to create the MP4. And then it is, when you go to add a source, it's media source is what you would create. So I'll create the VOD, and then you can just add it as a media source. That's all you need to do. So, I'm just thinking Discord sometimes has problems with file size. So if that's the case, like if they're just solid pictures, it shouldn't be a problem. But if you have anything that's a video, you might have to send it to me another way. So if that's a problem, just DM me. We'll figure it out. Okay. Let's see if we can finish Esther today. We got 2 chapters left. I'm going to just check if I have any messages. Okay. Nothing of significance. I can look later. Okay. We can do it. We can do it. In the 12th month, that is the month of Adar, on its 13th day, the edict of the king and his law were to be executed. It was on this day that the enemies of the Jews had supposed that they would gain power over them, but contrary to expectations, the Jews gained power over their enemy. The Jews assembled themselves in their cities throughout all the provinces of King I will be silent and poor, to strike out against those who were seeking their harm. No one was able to stand before them, for dread of them fell on all peoples. All the officials of the provinces, the satraps, the governors, and those who performed the king's business were assisting the Jews, for the dread of little man had fallen on them. Little man was of high rank in the king's palace, and word about him was spreading throughout all the provinces. His influence continued to become greater and greater. Oh, I won the battle royale. Yay me. The Jews struck all their enemies with the sword, bringing death and destruction, and they did as they pleased with their enemies. In Susa, the citadel, the Jews killed and destroyed 500 men. In addition, they also killed Parshadath, Dalphon, Asphatha, Poratha, Adaliah, Aradatha, Parmashta, Arasi, Aradai, Vyazath, the sons of Haman, son of Hamadatha, the enemy of the Jews. But they did not confiscate their property. So we have how many sons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I must have missed the 10 sons. I just read the sons. Yeah, 10 sons of Haman. But they don't confiscate the property. This isn't vengeance, or sorry, this is just justice. This is not exploitation. On the same day, the number of those killed in Susa, the citadel, was brought to the king's attention. Then the king said to Queen Esther, in Susa, the citadel, the Jews have killed and destroyed 500 men and the 10 sons of Haman. What then have they done in the rest of the king's province? What is your request? It shall be given you. What other petition do you have? It shall be done. Okay, so you carried out what you wanted. What else do you want? What else do you want? Esther replied, if Bum, bum. If the king is so inclined, let the Jews who are in Susa be permitted to act tomorrow also according to today's law, and let them hang the 10 sons of Haman on the gallows. So, hey, can we do this again tomorrow? This was a good time. This was fun. Let's do this again tomorrow. Oh, and let's display the 10 sons of Haman that got killed today. Let's do it in his yard. Let's do it on those big gallows he made. So the king issued orders for this to be done. A law was passed in Susa. So you can't make it through the whole kingdom in this. You can only do it in the where you're at. The 10 sons of Haman were hanged. The Jews who were in Susa then assembled on the 14th day of the month of Adar, and they killed 300 men in Susa, but they did not confiscate their property. So we had 500 on one day, 300 on the next day, 10 others who are killed. The rest of the Jews who were throughout the provinces of the king assembled in order to stand up for themselves and to have rest from their enemies. They killed 75,000 of their adversaries, but they did not confiscate their property. Okay, so their property was going to be confiscated. They have the ability to do this, but they don't. The numbers... for this number, much of the Greek translation reads 15,000, but the Lusiniac Greek reads 70,100. Well, that's interesting. So it could have been 15,000 instead of 75,000. But there's 125 provinces. I don't know. Anyway, they didn't take the property. So this happened on the 13th day of the month of Adar. They then rested on the 14th day and made it a day for banqueting and happiness. So the edict was on the 13th. They survived to the 14th. The 14th becomes a holiday called Purim. Oh, we're going to get that. But the Jews who were in Susa assembled on the 13th day and the 14th day and rested on the 15th day, making it a day of banqueting and happiness. This is why the Jews who are in the rural country, those who live in rural villages, set aside the 14th day of the month of Adar for happiness and banqueting and holidays and sending gifts to one another. Would they have gotten in trouble if they did take the property? No. No, they wouldn't have, because it was written in the edict that they could. They could return tit for tat back. You were going to destroy us and take all of our stuff. We can do it back. It's more of a, we're just simply defending ourselves. We're just bringing justice. We're not here to exploit things. Now, I think when it's saying property, it is specifically thinking of land, not money. So they may have taken money. It also is a reversal here as well of Saul. Saul wanted the money and the possessions and all the things, and he let Agag live, and he took the stuff instead of destroying it, totally devoting to God. They could have taken the property and devoted it to God, but that wouldn't be something you would do with property. So maybe they totally destroyed everything by devoting it to God. It doesn't say, God's not mentioned, so that part's not there, but that could be a deeper hidden thing is, oh, they didn't take anything. They just wanted their lives. And that was enough for them. And that was enough. Little man wrote these matters down and sent letters to all the Jews who were throughout all the provinces of King I shall be silent and poor, both near and far, to have them observe the 14th and 15th days of the month of Adar each year, at the time when the Jews gave themselves rest from their enemies, the month when their trouble was turned to happiness and their mourning to a holiday. That's so beautiful. These were to be days of banqueting, happiness, sending gifts to one another, and providing for the poor. Banqueting, happiness, gifts to one another, and providing for the poor. So, if you want another reason around Christmas time to do gift exchanges, there's other biblical places where gift exchange happens. Now, I tend to think that one of the reasons we do gifts is because the wise men bring gifts. I think that's one of the reasons we do gifts. But at holidays and festivals, gift giving is not an unheard of thing. So the Jews committed themselves to continuing what they had begun to do, and to do what Mordecai had written to them. For Haman the son, or for Magnificent the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the enemy of all Jews, had devised plans against the Jews to destroy them. He had cast Pur, that is the lot, in order to afflict and destroy them. But when the matter came to the king's attention, and the king gave written orders that Magnificent's evil intentions that he had devised against the Jews should fall on his own head, he and his sons were hanged on the gallows. For this reason, these days are known as Purim, after the name of Pur. Therefore, because of the account found in this letter, and what they had faced in this regard, and what had happened to them, the Jews established as binding on themselves, their descendants, and all who joined their company, that they should observe these 2 days without fail, just as written and as appropriate time on an annual basis. These days were to be remembered and to be celebrated in every generation and in every family, every province, and every city. The Jews were not to fail to observe these days of Purim. The remembrance of them was not to cease among their descendants. So Queen Esther, the daughter of Abihail, and Little Man, the Jew, wrote with full authority to confirm this second letter about Purim. Letters were sent to all the Jews in the 127 provinces of the empire of I shall be silent and poor. Words of true peace, to establish these days of Purim in their proper times, just as Mordecai the Jew and Queen Esther had established, and just as they had established both for themselves and their descendants matters pertaining to fasting and lament. Esther's command established the matters of Purim, and the matter was officially recorded. Okay, interesting. Suddenly we have matters of fasting and lament put in here. Are you supposed to fast and lament before Purim? I wonder. Yeah, so the LXX omits the words confirm the second letter, so it sounds like there's a second letter. Here we have letters plural. Was Esther in the line of Jesus? No. Esther is not in the line of Jesus. She's a descendant of Benjamin. David is the ancestor of Jesus, and he is of the house of Judah. So not in the line. What we have is Esther is in the line of Benjamin. Saul is in the line of Benjamin. So there's a connection of restoration of that line of king through the queen, but not establishing on the throne of Israel. And we have Jesus, son of David, so who is of the king of the Jews of the line of Judah. Okay. King I shall be silent and poor, then imposed forced labor on the land and on the coastlands and the sea. No problem. I love questions. Now, all the actions carried out under his authority and his great achievements, along with an exact statement concerning the greatness of Little Man, whom the king promoted, are they not written in the book of Chronicles of the kings of Media and Persia? Little Man the Jew was second only to King I shall be silent and poor. He was the highest-ranking Jew, and he was admired by his numerous relatives. He worked enthusiastically for the good of his people and was an advocate for the welfare of all his descendants. Boom. So we get a story that opens up, and it goes in, and things unveiling, and then we get like this officialness at the end, like there's official decree of this. There's official stature of this. So you have an official stature of this being issued and a celebration to celebrate. So how do you argue that Esther should be in the Bible? Well, it concerns the history of the people. It also concerns the providence of God, the hand of God, and a festival which we're going to celebrate. kind of hard to not have it in the Bible. If we don't, then what do we celebrate? I mean, we could have it in the other books that are close by, but anyway, there we have it. There we have it. Where is Esther? Oh, here it is. All right, so we just have the book of Revelation to do. We just have the book of Revelation. And if Balaam's here tomorrow, we might take a look at just looking at what are the other books that are out there written, the Apocrypha, the Pseudepigrapha, the Deuterocanonical, and just explore what those are. Excuse me. So, yay! Yeah, it absolutely. Well, it's God in the middle of things. Like when you have no power and control, trust in God. When you have no ability, God will give favor to those around you who do have power and will deliver you through means that you aren't expecting. That you don't need power for God to deliver you. Yeah, mic drop. Exactly. You don't need power for God to deliver you at all. All right. Let's see who is around today to go raid. I know some people might be still having the whole week off. Other people might be extra, not normally on. Bum. Bum. There's some people I definitely don't see who are normally up, but I don't know them that much. I mean, I'm following, so that doesn't mean too much. I mean, I follow lots of people for lots of reasons, and sometimes forget who I follow. And then when I see them live, I hate to unfollow someone while they are live. And then it's like, what? Why'd you come in here to just unfollow me? It just jumped on me. What do we have on chat? Melanie Evers is on if you need a suggestion. If not, no worries. Oh, I haven't rated her in a while. It's not what I was doing. I was just trying to see if there are other people that I do not raid because they're not usually on that might be on. Okay, I'm getting almost to the bottom and then it just keeps jumping on me when I'm trying to scroll here. Okay. Yeah, see, I never made it down to melanated because it keeps jumping on me before I get there. Papa Tsunami is still on his 48-hour stream. So I did want to raid him yesterday. We raided someone else that was doing 24 hours. So I wanted to see he is still on. He is at hour 45. We're at hour 45. So we're going to raid Papa Tsunami. If you don't know Papa Tsunami, great guy. Got to hang out with him at ReachCon, which, hey, there's the logo for ReachCon. Let me give you a blessing and we'll be off. May God's seeking comfort find you. May his loving arms bind you. May his might protect you. May his wisdom direct you. May the joyous love of Jesus Christ be with you and those you know both now and forevermore. Amen. Thank you, everyone coming in with the raid, everyone in chat, everyone with all the love, the bits, the tips, the subs, the donos. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Let's go and let's bless others. We've been blessed. Let's be a blessing to others. Da, da, da. Copy, paste, ba-boom, ba-boom, boom, boom, and let's roll those horrible less than par credits. There we go. I don't know why it doesn't capture any of the stuff that happened. Like the follows should be there. I don't know. Slobs has better credits. I have to figure this out. I might do what I've seen other people do and just a slideshow of other things on the credits on the way out. But, oh well. Oh well. Cap Dapper Pastor?
Tony
There's a lot going on.
$25.
Please? Hype and hearts in the chat. For the 5 gifted subs for Blue. The $25 dono from Tannen and fam. Making that $50 donated from Tannen.
And a perfect round.
Perfect round. And